Could the Ferrox be the king of the spear guns? Well, today I'm going to share with you my builds and thoughts on this weapon, as well as how far I went on building it. So the Ferrox is a corpus spear gun, which you can get the blueprint from the energy lab on the dojo. It has two firing modes, primary which is a charge, dealing IPS damage and has a punch through, and a secondary which can be charged and is a trait of the spear guns. Throwing it, it will stay on the place or the enemy that it hits, and will send out pulses that will attract enemies to the spear. If you don't charge it, it will deal 4 or 5 pulses, and if you do, it will give you 15, so it stays for much longer. And this has to be, but ideally you will build it for crit, as it has 32% of crit chance and 2.8 times critical multiplier. So I'm gonna show you the builds that I've made. First one, Hunter Munitions, of course. We have our Serration Split Chamber, Point Strike and Vital Sense for the critical, also Hammer Shot to fit the, I think it comes with the Depolarity, probably. And also Ram Rounds and Malignant Force for the Viral. I also added Hunter Munitions, and for the Exilus I added Hush. I'm gonna be talking about the Exilus later, so this will work well. You're not gonna be proccing that much because it's only 30% status chance. But yeah, let me show you what this particular build can do. We're using Harrow with no modifiers. Nothing will change the damage that you do with the weapon. Yeah, it can be really deadly. One more time. And he'll be dead. Yeah. This weapon can pack a punch, or can't really kill. It's not gonna be that much, not gonna be that hard. Yeah, and it's dead. No stealth multipliers or anything like that. No corrosive projection. Nothing. Our Harrow is just as it is. Nothing crazy, nothing different. So, this was the first build. And let's go to the second one. This one is the same, pretty much the same thing, but it has heat on it, and because they usually would build Viral and heat. Let me show you the result. It's kind of close to the first build, but I still think the first one is better. So always around 3 to 4 shots with this one. With the first one we can get like sometimes in 1 shot, but it's not that easy. And even adding the heat will not be proccing it that often. It's just like some. And also, I made a third build, which is pretty much the same thing, but instead of going with elementals, I went with pure damage, and that's why I traded the elementals for Argon Scope and Vigilante Armaments. Let me show you what it can do. Will stay always around that mark of 3 to 4 shots. Sometimes you can get lucky, but most of the time you don't. Oh, that was a lot of procs. Let's see. That's gonna be a 1 shot. Yeah. So the thing is, you don't even need like that much status chance, because the status chance from the Hunter Munitions is not gonna be the same as your status chance from your weapon. So yeah. Now for the secondary fire, it's gonna be dealing electric damage on the AoE pulses. But if you have elementals equipped, it will deal your equipped elementals. Now this is good for... I'm gonna have another weapon that can deal quite a good amount of damage when enemies are stacked. Just like the glaive. We are already benefiting from the electricity procs. Not only the glaive, you can use something like the Atmos, the Spore Laser? Is that the name? Not really sure. The Atmos. You can use even some weird weapon. So as long as the enemies are in the area, at some point they will be affected by the electricity proc, and that will help you with the condition overall. Okay, so before we go into further testing, I want to talk a little bit about the Exilus mod slot, as this is really optional. You can choose whatever you want to put in here. You might think on something like tactical reload, because you're going to be throwing the weapon, so it would be holstered. But it actually, you won't be using this mod because, or I don't recommend using this mod because this weapon already has a built-in mechanic for that. And let me just show you. We're on 6 ammo now. Throw it. I'm gonna wait for the pulses. Again, if you don't charge, it's gonna be around 5 pulses, and if you do, it's gonna be 15. Back to the hand. 10 ammo again. You cannot see because my face is on the way, but yeah, I can still see it, and it's 10. So back to the Exilus mod. You can use Hush. Another weapon is option is Twitch. And what else? I wouldn't really recommend Stabilizer. I mean, the weapon kicks up when you shoot, but by the time you're able to shoot again, it's already the same spot that it was before. But this is blast. Why the hell does this even exist on this weapon? Vigilante supplies you could use, but I really doubt you're gonna be out of ammo with this thing. Zone while gliding. Maybe. So one thing that I really cannot test today is a ribbon on this weapon. I guess it could be much better, but that's the thing I don't have at the moment, so that's gonna be for next time. And also because ribbons for this thing are around, I think the cheapest one is around 1 flat, so you know, not right now. It is able to kill. Also the punch through works really well. I mean, if this weapon with a charged shot like this, that it's not that fast. And this reload, if you didn't have the punch through, this weapon could be called the electricity stat of shit. So now let's take this weapon for the real game. Alright, so I still have a lot of missions to do on Steel Path, and that's where we're taking the weapon. Terminate, taking Mesa just because she can survive a little bit. And didn't change its mods, we're using viral and hunter munitions. I know we could use something better for the purpose, but I just chose to stay with what was built on based on the first part of the video. The weapon is strong. What I wanted to show you is exactly this thing. Well, I said if it wasn't for the punch through, this would be called the staff. Long staff of shit, or the electricity staff of shit, but yeah. The problem that you're gonna see or that you're already seeing, is that it's quite a long time for to use the charging shot, and then you're gonna be taking a few more seconds to reload, and when you combine those things, you're gonna see that it's actually quite a long time. You're gonna spend more time charging your shot and reloading that and doing stuff. Especially if you miss shots. If you miss shots, then well, the chance of you being dead on a higher level mission is quite a good chance. You can still get lucky and kill stuff with one shot or maybe two, but if you're gonna be doing that all the time, it's just not gonna work really well. The weapon is good and it's gonna kill most of the stuff on lower levels, but when we get to this kind of level, it is not that good. It just feels too slow to use here. But if you're using it for the secondary mode, then you're gonna have no problem. If you have a weapon that really depends on having enemies close to each other to deal damage, or if you're trying to use something like gas procs to deal a lot of damage, then it's gonna be really good, or even condition overload. But if you're going for condition overload, you might as well just use the Cedo, right? So you're gonna be getting like maybe even 6 or more state of effects. So this is the only mission I'm gonna show you on the video, just so it doesn't get like too long. And the thing about it is, it is a great weapon, but it's very situational. Again, none of the spear guns are really that OP or have like super unique features. Of course they're unique because they have the throwing mechanic, and every spear gun is gonna be different. I mean, the skirt's gonna be dealing with the headshots. The javelin is probably about the damage because it deals a little bit more damage when you throw it. And this one is about pulling enemies together. But now for the question, is this the king of the spear weapons? Well, if you're looking for a spear gun weapons, if you're looking for a spear gun that's able to one-shot enemies, of course with a hunter munition proc, then yes, this is gonna be the king amongst them. So don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.